Okay, we're back. Back with the start of wonderful rolls on our D20s. Uh, Definitely an outlook for what's to come, I have a feeling.
Oh God.
So,
Yay.
yay. Why don't we start by doing our usual recap, but maybe a little more in depth since Lily wasn't here last time, so we can kind of hit some of the points. Uh, we spent a couple days in the garrison. Um, there was some debauchery that happened, some drinking and what have you. It's just a way to finally unwind for a little bit. Then we took to actually looking after some things, as for the actual garrison itself. Not just morale, but looked at putting in a. We asked for a well to be put in from the gods to bless one of the spells cast, and in some respect they answered. We have some monstrous well up right on the edge of the desert, and it poured rains for a good bit. We did some scrying, looked in. Couldn't get too much more on Biju's father's side of thing. We did see that the wagon train that he was a part of was all circled up, and they looked like they were repairing some wheels or something at the time. We looked in on Izzy's mom, who was actually meeting, come to find out, with Ileana, and who agreed to care for her child that she had found. And then we was able to scry in on Carr's uncle in a weird way, some kind of like force barrier trying to prevent the scry, but he found a little squeaker hole to make it through. Saw that he was trying to rally some troops, or something along those lines, definitely riling up some clansfolk of some kind of Sermon on the Mount looking landscape. And like right at the end, it felt like Carr was like his vision was like sucked in straight towards him as his uncle looked in his direction, and then said, that he expected him to be there, or that he knew that he would come. That's what it was. And then the vision kind of got ripped away. I'm trying to think, did we scry? Was that the only 3 scries that we did?
Yeah.
And
On that day.
Yeah, on that day. And then, well, yeah, then we did on the next day. I think we spent sometime in the later afternoon. We were trying to communicate with some people, and like the alarm gongs went off at the garrison. That's triggered from the lodestone as the all hands on deck, the battle stations alarm that went off across at least our garrison that we knew of until we started investigating further, and it seems like it was an all call for all garrisons, as there was some kind of explosion or attack at the lodestone that the magister and the archwizard were both at trying to repair. So we scry in on them to see that the magister, in some kind of electrical force field, there's a beam of energy pouring off the lodestone, holding him aloft and imprisoned and in pain. We saw the archwizard, as well as the troops being directed all about the area. So we worked kind of through whatever channels that we could get a hold of to try to rally troops from the surrounding areas to send as an extra measure of defense. Saw that the explosion, there was a few people that were killed, and in the explosion, it didn't look like that many though, as the central building was mostly gone from what we could tell from scrying. It was just us looking down from overhead, seeing the magister held aloft there. So then we were expecting sometime that afternoon somebody to come give us magical transport due to communications we'd had earlier. A bunch of time went by, and while we were, mostly just sitting around in our worry, trying to figure out what was happening. Then all of a sudden, Ileana comes through a portal in high alert, and followed by some extremely old, potentially crazy, or at least barely senile person in through all robe, who was a little odd and curmudgeon as he came on through. Um, had a little existential argument about where there was here, there, here. How are you gonna get from here to there? And then he said it wasn't. He's going not to a place, but to. It's not a where or what that you're going to, but a who. That's what he said as he opened up this particular portal, coming through into what was somewhere we figured somewhere in the northwestern part of the Badlands, up close to that northern ridge, capping it off from the likes of Mayara and several of the countries that are above that. Wasn't like right on the edge or anything like that because we weren't in the mountains, but there was definitely quite a bit of rolling foothills and rocky crags and pathways that weren't prevalent in the other areas of the Badlands we'd been to. We saw what appeared to be some pretty heinous magical devastation to that area, as like giant explosions had gone off of some kind of weird magical force. We could see some of that magical energy, and the wizard, that weird senile wizard, which we never got his name, was said it was something like a cross between a fireball, which he showed by literally blasting a ball of fire against a rock, and also like some kind of creature summoning something that then canceled and killed the creature, and then also something similar to the gateways. So he said like all that kind of magic combined together to do something. And then there was all these char lines, like these long streaks of long triangular shapes that went out in every direction from all of these. And there were tons, as far as we could see, char everywhere, all around us. He said that it was some kind of living matter. As he tasted it, he said, "Don't taste it." Then he tasted it again, and he said, "Ooh, that's bad. Don't taste it." And he said it didn't taste like any people that he'd eaten before. And then he went into his magic. He created a magical house, and then went inside of it and said, "When you need him, ring the doorbell." And then it disappeared. So we were kind of left in a bit of confusion. We heard a couple of war horns, and one was far to the northeast, one was far to the southeast. Only a couple people were barely able to catch it on the edge of the wind. It wasn't long before we heard the beating of wings and a couple of like screeching screams from some beasts. So we kind of perched behind a rock as we found a bunch of devils approaching and scanning, searching the area. They all kind of perched on the edge of a ridge. Izzy went up to investigate to see what they were, seeing that they were a bunch of devils. We waited a little bit, and then Ileana shot one pretty much straight out of the sky as it was coming in on you. They attacked, but our position was pretty strong, so we were able to kill them relatively easily compared to what the potential strength of that scouting party was. And here we sit, just vanquishing a small scouting party of devils. We had decided that we were going to head to the southeast, but we hadn't left yet. So here we are on the midst of the map, having just decided to head southeast, but not having actually done anything yet.
I think we should make haste. Are we waking up the wizard, or just drawing an arrow to the direction we've gone and let him figure it out?
We should probably get him.
It's been like 3 minutes.
Yeah. Before we go too far, can I take a few minutes and kind of investigate around the area? Because, first of all, I'd like to search the devils that we just killed. And second, I would like to see if any of these char marks have anything that wouldn't have been completely destroyed in an explosion, like dog tags or signet rings or anything that might identify what people these were.
Okay. Sure. If you're gonna roll me investigate, we've already looked a little bit, but we're really trying to get some nitty gritty details. We did
Yeah.
look through the some of the corpses or what was left of some of the devils. One thing we did notice, like the Orthon, and like the Orthon exploded himself, right, and everything he had like just gone, right. But a lot of what we did see was when we kill one of the devils, when they actually die, they fall, they ooze out some acrid blood, and then there's typically a flash fire that happens not long after that, and that the blood itself is consumed, and usually most of the body is gone from that. Not just like burned up in a fire gone, but like it's leached from this world gone. But there may still be remnants behind. We did find one war horn symbol that on one of them. I do on the one that was nearby, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, because Kara was trying to decide whether or not he should blow into it.
I still want to blow the horn. Not that horn. I want to blow the war horn I have. But I had a thought, and I didn't actually ask last time. Stein, how do the phalanx use horns to communicate long distance on the battlefield?
Do they?
Yeah, well, we know they have magical whistles.
Yes.
I
mean, I've never used a horn, and I've never been on the battlefield with the phalanx before. So.
Yeah, I mean, like a couple of them maybe, but typically the ones that roam out in the badlands have those magical whistles that they use for communications, which is definitely different than the war horn sound. I think Steam. Do you actually even you have one, don't you? Don't you have a magical whistle on you?
You may have said you'd given me one, but not actually made an item for it.
Blow that magical whistle, son.
I don't see one in your inventory, but I'm pretty sure you have one. So I think we talked about it, but I don't think we ever made an item for it.
No, I don't think we did.
I would like to use my inspiration point specifically for trying to find anything to identify the people that were here.
Okay.
And that was for investigation?
Investigation.
I think the whistle is a very rudimentary form of, oh fuck, come help.
What's the highest point that I can see around here?
Well, from your height, everything.
That spot that the Nikoloth had landed on originally is the highest point in the area.
All right, well, I want to venture up there and just see what can be seen.
Okay.
They're doing micro. I'm looking for the macro.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as far as picking around a good bit of the like the actual demon corpses, like there's not anything. There's a couple places like where some of the metal had melted from when they had flash fired, but not all of it had went with them. But even a good bit of like things like the weapons they had and stuff like that. Even if the metal had burned or melted or something in their own flash fire, a lot of the actual volume of that material is gone. I mean, it's just not there. And you're looking around at some of these like flash bursts of where that magical explosion had happened. You have a sense that if there's an explosion, like even if it instantly, even if it's like atomic in level of some sort, that it would have been, not everything would be completely gone. There would still should be scraps of metal.
Right.
There should be not just flesh turned to ash, but probably little bits of bone or little bits of metal, something like that. As far as bone or anything along those lines that would identify it as people or creature or anything other than just living material, all the living material is black ash. No bones, no nothing. As you start scouring around, like some of the nooks and crannies, you start seeing, especially where some of that had centralized like on a flat area and then exploded outward. And there's, a cliff face or, very pitted, jagged edges. You can see little shimmery, shiny bits of metal, like almost like if you're in a mine, how sometimes you can see like a small vein of metal or a small discoloration of the rock where metal is actually inside of the rock in a certain way. Looking along the edges and some of these only in like the deep little pitted places on the cliff sides, do you see indications of metal or shiny bits in the actual rock that doesn't look natural by any means?
Can I try and dig some of that out? If I need to, I'll reshape my shape-changing weapon to a pick or something that will help me dig it out.
Okay. Doing so, pulling out, like you find, here's this pitted place, you dig around, you make the hole larger, pull out this piece, this piece of rock that, upon inspection, it looks like this piece of rock was rock, and now it's almost like an alloy of rock and metal, as though it's been fused into its actual base structure. It's, down at a molecular level. It is now a piece of the rock or blended with the rock. Not like it was like a shrapnel, but like it has been infused into the area.
Wow. Okay. So I guess what Izzy would assume with that is that it was part of like the magic somehow, because the way that the wizard that the old wizard had described it was that it was part portal and part summoning and part like the thing that he summoned was like part of the earth. It looked like, right? It was some kind of like
Yes.
Yeah, so I think she would assume that that was just part of what the magic did. But it sounds like it's not going to be useful to identify who was here.
Yeah, no, probably no method of it because it is literally fused in as a part of the rock. There's no symbolism. There's no even form or structure of whatever it was before. Now that you know what you're kind of looking for, you can see it in these pitted places all over the place. So however much there was, there's a considerable amount of metal in the piece of rock that you dug out. And then now that you start kind of looking around and all the different cliff faces all around, there is a lot of metal infused into rock. Just all hidden deep, buried deep into it, only in the, not on the surface level, but deep into it.
I'll take a piece of it. Not a large chunk, but maybe like a handful size. Just so I can ask somebody about it later.
Okay.
And then I'll turn my weapon back into its cutlass form.
Okay, so Lumo, from atop your perch, this is that's a high spot not just for the immediate area, but a pretty reasonable one across the way. You can see that there's a lot of crags that come and go. Off to the southeast, as you're looking, you can see that the crags start to disperse and it becomes a lot flatter way on the horizon. There's also a good bit of red tint to the horizon to the southeast. Not just like a sunset kind of red tint, but almost like distant wildfire.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like on the edge of your vision, it's like the world is on literal fire. Off beyond where you can actually see the fire. Up to the northeast, the other place that we had heard specific sound from, it gets more and more craggy and a lot more rocks and mounds, and as it goes higher and higher, especially as it goes more north than east. There's a strong ridge right on the edge of kind of your normal vision out a mile or two off that blocks things on the other side, but you don't see anything moving on this side of that ridge at all. Off to the west, it looks just a whole much more of this. But it looks like the whole earth is stained black, mostly to the west.
Oh, okay.
The black explosion-y charred area does look like it stops both to the south and east and to the north and east, not far from where you are. But to the west, it looks charred for a long ways off to the west.
Skip on down and relay all that to the party.
I'm just sitting up here with my hand binoculars with the perception of
Not.
yes.
I see a rock!
That's
My
a
fucking
boulder.
hands around my eyes. Oh,
That's a
Still
nice
feel
boulder.
southeast, and we should make haste.
the haste.
Can I take a look at where the wizard disappeared?
Okay, yeah, it'd be not far to the south, kind of right over here, right on the edge of what would be the edge of the map.
So
Okay.
close to the edge.
Do I see a door there at all?
No.
Can I use my Rod of Alertness and cast Detect Magic?
Okay, yes.
And then can I see a door or a doorbell?
And you do not see a door or doorbell or anything along what that descriptor would actually make sense as. But you do see the slash in the ground, very similar to the portal end spot that we'd already looked. That looks like some kind of residual of that portal or gateway or something along those lines.
Can I poke at it and see if there's anything I can touch there?
I need you to roll a D100 in the dice tower, please. Okay. So, what are you poking? You using your cutlass and trying to prod at something, or what are you doing?
Just my hand, actually, going towards that glow that I can see and just kind of, I guess sort of like she might look for a hidden latch or something on a box.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, running along the edge of, you can see that it's rather close to the cliff face in a way, where this, slash across the ground is. Directly above it, you're going to place your hand on it, and like you're kind of feeling around right on the edge. There's just air, and then it feels like putting your hand in jello. In the space right above where that slash is.
That feels gross, so she's gonna wrinkle her nose. But then just kind of see how far in she can push her arm. Because it doesn't hurt or anything, right?
No, it does not. It just feels like the thickness of that area is significantly different than the viscosity just feels different. Like there's resistance to it. Like pushing on slime or jello or something like that through very thick oil. And pushing through for about for just a handful of inches as you're kind of prodding along in this weird way, halfway up your forearm, and then you feel your fingers freely wiggling on the other side.
Okay. Can I feel kind of how big this jello-y part is? Is it something that I could walk through, or is it just big enough for my arm?
No, so you're starting to now realize that this is kind of the outline of a doorway, similar to what you saw. You just can't see. It looks exactly like the background. It's indistinguishable visually from the surroundings. So that vertical or that slash across the ground is kind of its dimensions. So a couple feet wide, 7 feet or 7 feet tall, something like this, and then several inches deep.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of turn around to the party and say, I think I found the door. I guess I'll go see if he's awake.
Just mind it. He might be a little overzealous with his caution. Watch out, fireball.
I'm gonna kind of outline it with my hands and kind of show them it's kind of here. If I don't come back in a couple minutes, I shrug. And then I'll try walking in, I guess.
Okay. So when it was just your hand and arm stretching through, you could feel it actually go all the way through to the other side. But as soon as you kind of step forward, you kind of ease into it. Your leg kind of goes in. It feels all like super viscous and weird. Your arm comes through very strange, like this all very weird feeling. And then you're like, take the deep breath. And then as soon as you put your head into it, is your eyes open or not?
Probably not while it feels like jello. If I can get through to the point where it kind of opens up, then I would open them.
Okay, so as you push through, your eyes closed, you're holding your breath for just a little bit. It's like you're taking a plunge into the pool. And you push, you have to push hard because this is some viscous stuff and it's thick, and you have to make your way, and you struggle and you push, and then you fall straight on your face as it completely, like just in an instant as you're pushing hard, and then there's no force against you at all. And then you just kind of bang right over, stumbling, barely catching yourself. With your hands on what feels like smooth stone. As you open your eyes, you can see that it is immaculate marble floor and great decorative detail in what looks like the foyer of a palace.
Whoa. I look around to try and get my bearings a little bit. And I assume I don't see the wizard, or...
No, you see nothing moving or anything at all, just staircases and going up to an upper level and hallways galore in every direction.
So this is probably like the nicest place she's ever been in.
Yes. this is, you've seen fairly pretty places and things of high esteem. The manor house that the Archduke had was magical and mystical and very beautiful, but this puts that to shame. This is, that would be something like Revolutionary War Mansion versus this seems like a Taj Mahal kind of palace.
So she's gonna kind of gawk at it for a few seconds before she shouts out, "Hello? I couldn't find a doorbell, Mr. Old Wizard Fellow."
The walls themselves reverberate as though like every wall itself is a speaker. From as you hear the sound of his voice. That's not the doorbell.
I couldn't find one.
Your ignorance is no excuse.
Just shank him.
Well, maybe you could show me where it is, and then I'll know for next time. But we've heard some war horns. We're gonna head to the southeast.
How much time has passed on the outside world?
Minutes?
Minutes.
Maybe like 15 minutes?
The equations are changing. Well, we better get there before there is no there.
Yeah, that would be great. She's kind of looking around, like trying to figure out where his voice is coming from. Shall I wait for you here or outside?
This like you get this nice environmental feel coming in finally as you're in this hot blistering desert. You come in, the shock of like what the hell's going on, where am I, and then you all of a sudden get the feel like it is nice and cool in here. It is actually quite pleasant and aromatic and smells like flowers and perfumes, and there's no dust and no wind, and it's very like you just get contentment as an actual like a surge of emotion, and in a blink that is gone as you're blasted in the face by the hot blistering wind of the desert again as you're standing around looking directly behind you for right where you had gone into that door in the first place.
Ugh.
Like just the shock of the change, you blink your eyes a couple of seconds just to adjust to the light and the heat and everything as that change was pretty dramatic. And standing right next to you with his large walking stick is the old man. Well, best be about it then.
Can you go in there just whenever? How does that work? She's just completely fascinated by it.
To everyone else, you see like Izzy slow motion walking into nothing, and then she disappears for only just an eye blink of time. Izzy, to you were probably in there what felt like several minutes, and a little conversation, and a little trying to figure it out. To them, it was only an eye blink where you were running, manning, slow motion one way, and then instantly you were facing the opposite direction and just standing there awestruck.
Yeah, she looks a little bit dazed.
So we're off then.
See the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
But, To where?
Southeast.
We need to hurry.
But why?
Something's happening. There were war horns. We just fought a handful of devils here. She kind of gestures, but there's nothing there.
You said devils.
Mhm.
Not that I'm not trusting your perception, but these were living beings, not dead beings. Or used to be dead beings.
They were alive when we fought them, and then they weren't. Because we killed them.
And they were devils.
Can I pick up the head of one of them and just like this?
Well, there is no head.
Then I guess
Yeah, because most of them got sucked into to somewhere else after they died.
Carr, I believe, picked up the horn from one, though.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I have my own horn.
But
Oh,
but we found one, right?
Yeah, there was a horn.
So, devils, not undead, and you're sure it's devils and not demons.
I described them to him,
Yes.
like how they look like.
Devils, demons, Yugoloth. Big wingling, fiendish thing.
Yeah, big wings, fiend things. One had like a skull face and big tusks, and they could. That one
Big
didn't fly,
tusk.
but the other ones flew. That one didn't fly, right? Did that one fly?
The Orthon did not fly, no.
Right, that one didn't fly, but the other ones did, and there was a whole bunch of smaller white ones. I described them, what they look like generally.
Okay, so this big fat one with the wings and the big sword. And what did it do?
Yeah,
What did it do?
I stabbed that one.
That's great.
I
What did it
kind of
do?
I kind of glance over at Ileana when I say I stabbed it. um. Me personally, I'm trying to remember. Did that one blink
Yeah.
around?
Yeah,
or
that
was
one
the-
teleported.
yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So I tell him that.
So a Nikoloth. Okay.
Sure.
With these white ones.
Mhm.
Long wings. You say one with the tusks. This one with the tusk. What did it
Crossbow.
do? Crossbow.
Mhm.
What did it do?
It disappeared and then reappeared.
And then exploded.
And then exploded. That would be an Orthon. So we have devils and we have a Yugoloth. Together? They weren't fighting each other.
What's a Yugoloth?
Big blinky sword fat winging thing.
Oh, that one. Yes.
Yeah,
No,
that-
they
yeah.
seem to be traveling together.
Did the Orthon seem to be directing them?
The big one was, yes.
The big fat winged one or the big tusky one?
Again, this is me personally. I think it was the big winged one, right? Or I don't remember.
It might be hard, from your perspective, it might be actually hard to tell. I mean, so you may not actually have an idea there. I don't know that
Yeah.
that didn't really get much of them communicating or giving directions.
Yeah, well, because the big winged one kind of came in and landed, and then the one with the skull face and Tusk kind of sniffed and then blinked out, and then they all kind of started to spread out, right?
That's probably a pretty good recollection
Okay.
of how you witnessed it. Yes.
Okay, so I'll tell him that, and then he can take that however he interprets it.
See, kind of feebly. Starts stroking his chin a little. And you're sure they weren't trying to kill each other?
They didn't appear to be. It seemed more like they could sense that we were here and trying to figure out exactly where. The sniff from the tusked one kind of made me think that.
Well, you're probably right. It has some senses. It knew you were here. I mean, some of you, I can smell you from here, so I know it can.
There's really nothing I can do about that.
So Carr did not sense. One of them was a meta, I guess he's saying one of them was a demon. Did Carr not sense any of that?
So one of them is not a demon. Technically, still yet different. Like when he says Yugoloth, that sparks something like, wait a minute. I know quite a bit about fiends. We've done some stuff with Asmodeus. Those are devils. Those are a specific type of fiend that are bound by strict code of laws and ethics, even though extremely twisted, their own, and very strict. Whereas, we also know that demons are counter to that. The demons are pure chaos incarnate in their approach to evil and destruction and the like. Yugoloth tend to be the balance. So the demons and the devils are at war with one another constantly and have been since before the mortal realm ever existed. The Yugoloth kind of go one side or the other, depending on maybe a breach of power or trying to keep balance, because they're still inherently evil. They do terribly awful things, but they don't want one side or the other to win, essentially. So they do sometimes what's necessary to keep one side or the other from winning.
So we go to the southeast.
Sure thing.
While we're kind of heading in that direction, can I show the old wizard that lump of stone and metal that I pulled out?
Okay, so he's going to take that, start casting some kind of spell on it. Some nice steel with a little titanium, perhaps a little chromium. A couple little specks of gold and silver.
It was all through the hills where those scorch marks were.
Like, throughout, all over?
Mm-hmm. Once I found it, I knew what to look for. I could see it everywhere.
Mixed in with this stone.
Yep, just like this.
Well, if I didn't know any better, these things don't occur in this way naturally. This is not ore that you would take from the earth and refine to make these metals. these are these metals.
Mm-hmm.
And given the type of steel, I would assume that it come from weapons and armor.
Yeah, that was my thought as well.
2,000 soldiers worth.
I hope that wasn't. I'm finding less and less reason to think that, but I hope it wasn't them.
Also, Steen, did you say you were going to blow the whistle? Was that something you actually said you were doing, or you were just talking about that?
No, I thought the question was just about the whistle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said it was like sort of a emergency thing,
Yep.
And
No,
we're not necessarily in an emergency situation, I guess.
It's a plea for help, not like communication back and forth.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Okay, so we start traversing southeast. So, doing so, you'd think the old man would slow you down, because he walks around fairly feebly. But he putters on a lot better than you expect. And every now and then, through some like rough areas, sometimes it looks like he floats above the ground just a little bit. So it kind of goes in between regular walking and walking/floating as y'all travel southeast a bit. The land also, you got a little bit of some ridges that you come up and over, and then it flattens out a little bit, and it looks like it's a slow decline for a little while as you're traveling southeast. And then as you go down and down, you run into what looks to be, for lack of better anything else of comparison, something like the Grand Canyon, but not big, not that big, but definitely these deep cut channels throughout what has been flatter rock and sand across. And so you're continuing down into some of these channels to traverse forward. Need a set of perception checks across the board.
Stupid wrong buttons.
Ooh, okay.
Just meant to be.
So one thing that I would point out as you're coming down into this area that's these channels, you can hear as you take, you're not necessarily being stealthy, but you're kind of used to, some level of caution while moving, and you notice that as you're making steps, there's a little bit of reverberation, not of just the sound, an echo that seems pretty prominent. Sound travels super well as it echoes off the walls down in these channels. As you start making your way down, you get the hint or the inclination that there's rustling of metal that's trying to not rustle.
Who all hears that?
I'd say anyone with 15 or higher would hear that.
Can we tell where it's coming from?
Further throughout the channels. Yeah, so this is not like one single like river-like path. There's several like rocks that it's almost like a spider web of these different channels that come down as you come through, as you're walking your way through, trying to make it to the other side. So like looking from atop, you could see, like little pillars across through all out. Made the determination you couldn't navigate over the top. It's just not possible. So you head your way down, and knowing that you're trying to hit a particular direction because it looks like it comes back up on the other side of this little canyon-like thing. And so it's definitely from further forward, maybe around and behind some walls or several of these like little pathways over.
Steen, do you have any non-emergency ways you communicate with other troops?
We usually just signal lanterns, or we shout at each other. Voices
book.
carry a great distance in the barrens and the book.
The books are out of commission, though, right?
No, the books are still in commission, right?
Yeah, you use the books to talk to the different network of people, but you haven't heard from anyone in the Badlands since this morning. That was the last we knew of that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it location based? Can we still communicate out from here?
And I might not have my book wouldn't be directly connected to these guys out here, so it'd be a game of telephone.
Well, just
I'm
send a
directly
message.
connected to the Archwizard.
Any troops in the canyon?
Like, can we send a test message to see if the interference is location based?
Check one.
Oh, I just can. I'll message the Archwizard because that's where my book goes directly to him.
Yep.
So.
Breaker 19 on a radio
Yep.
check.
Is this thing working? Question mark.
If you guys want, I can try and scout ahead and see if I can actually see who's up there. Does it look like a lot of places to hide around here? A lot of loose rock and things, or?
Yeah, the walls are. I mean, we had come down a pretty steep decline across this little canyon, and these walls, some of the walls are pretty solid all the way up to the top. What is that flat level? But some are just like tiny little spikes or pillars. It's almost like being inside of a cave, except for there's no roof.
Right. Okay. So I would volunteer to do that if you guys want.
Maybe take Lumo with you.
Mm-hmm. That's not a bad idea.
Sure. Did you want to come, Lumo?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
I cast guidance on you, Izzy.
Thank you. So I'll have the Rod of Alertness in one hand and my Shadow Blade in the other while I move forward.
Okay, so stealth checks from both of you, I assume?
So
Good
that's
answers.
20.
Okay, and then we are going slow, I take it? Even though we're trying to be stealthy? Are we actively trying to perceive as we're going through and trying to hone in on that sound, or
Yes.
anything? Okay, anything particular we're doing?
Mostly trying to stick to any loose rocks or shadowy areas so as not to be seen, and trying to be quiet.
Okay, let's go ahead and get perceptions from each of you.
I might also use my rod and cast, like, let's do a detect magic.
Okay, so this will be the third use of that for today. Is it at will, right? It's at will, though, from
I
the rod.
believe it's at will.
Okay, yeah. That's what,
I can
it's
double
not.
check.
It's not charges. I don't think that one's charges, is it?
Who are we talking about,
Doesn't-
guy?
It doesn't say anything about charges.
Okay. Yep. And so it's just at will, I believe, for that. So, you start sneaking around from kind of one pathway to another, and as you do, you definitely start picking up You both can hear the rustling of the metals clinking. It's as you get further in the crags, it definitely sounds like weapons and armor kind of things. That like plates moving, things of that nature. Izzy, the echoes making it very hard to pinpoint any kind of direction. But Lumos seems to have an idea that maybe it's more off in this particular direction. Do you choose to follow him or go out or go at it?
Oh, I'll definitely follow Lumo. This is sort of his home turf, I think.
Yeah, I'll relay that information telepathically.
Mm-hmm.
I'll allow it.
Okay, so it kind of leads you down a series of pathways, twisting, kind of like backing in on itself a little, and then around. Like so, some feels like it's in the wrong direction as you travel for just a couple of moments, and then um, he puts up, kind of a hand to stop you as there's not just the rustling sound, but even you hear a couple of footfalls just around a corner.
Can I use my my thieves' tools, that little mirror that lets me see around corners?
Okay, yes.
And just kind of use it to peek around the corner and see what I can see that's making the footfalls.
So you just barely poke it around the corner, kind of. It looks like this is another place where it kind of comes and then nearly switchbacks, comes right back the same direction along a thin wall between you and the sound of those footfalls. As you see an armored figure walking away from you, back down the hallway, or down this like alleyway, if you will, on the other side of the thin rock wall that you're standing on. Doesn't take long to recognize that looks like Phalanx armor.
Okay.
How
So
far away?
Literally just on the other side of the wall. Like a very thin, probably no more than a foot and a half thick at the thick points.
I'm going to telepathic mind tell or brain tell or ask her if I should get his attention and point at my head.
I will just hold up a finger, like just wait. And just loud enough that I think he should be able to hear me. I'll say, for life, for strength, for honor.
You can see the person walking stop dead in their tracks. Spin, weapon at the ready, other hand holding a whistle, and peering intently at kind of like the corner around where you are. You can see the glint of the sun off the mirror obviously catches his attention.
I'll pull the mirror back and make sure my weapon is sheathed. And just hands up, so it's obviously non-aggressive, and just step around the corner and say, "We're friends."
You can see that he's, tense. Teeth clenched, eyes piercing. I don't think we call anyone friends anymore.
I don't know if there's a name for the garrison that we come from. Just a number, I assume. I'll tell them that we come from that garrison, and that we were told that there were phalanx out here in the badlands who may need help. And I will. What is my? Hold on, I have a thing for this.
Charm him.
I
in
will
a way.
use yes my panache feature.
Okay.
So it's a charisma check. Charisma persuasion contested by his wisdom insight. If he isn't hostile to me, he's charmed for 1 minute. But because it's not a spell, it doesn't have any negative effects that I can tell. I'm just trying to calm him down and make sure he knows that I'm friendly.
I want to also ask Izzy if I should go get the rest of the peoples, since I haven't really shown myself.
Well, that's a good answer.
So there's that.
I mean, I guess it's okay.
So even with the bonus that I gave him for being extremely guarded, I gave him a +10. Not even close. So, are you going to respond to Lumo? Or
I'm just gonna hold out my hands, palm out, so it just kind of looks probably to the phalanx guy that I'm just going like, okay, slow down. But Lumo could see that it's just another like hold.
so, you just happen to be here from so far away, come to help us.
We received or found some intelligence that alerted us that there may be an event happening out here.
Yes, some alert, I'm sure.
There has been an incident at the Phalanx garrison. One of the lodestones was damaged.
I see.
Sure. I'm not sure when you received your last briefing, but we haven't been able to contact anyone out here. So I will tell you what I know.
Damaged lodestone. Is that what they're using as an excuse? Is that why they killed them all?
What happened out here?
Oh, it was the wizards, all right.
The wizards.
What else could it be? They were here, and then they left. They said that they had to get away to take care of some other business, and they would be back as soon as I stepped through that portal. Cataclysm happened. That's what happened. There's a handful of squads that were out on patrol. Deep in these ridges or caves. I've been able to grab a handful, but the rest are gone.
I'm so sorry. How many of you made it?
87. 87.
Izzy just kind of looks devastated and shakes her head. My friends and I are just back this way. If you want to come with us, maybe we can help somehow figure out a way out of here, or just try to figure out what's going on.
We wish
The
that
more
we could,
information,
but we have a battle to get to. There's 87 left, and to the man, we will do our duty.
and let us help you.
And how exactly do you expect to be able to do that?
Oh, that's my cue. I'm gonna walk out and from behind the corner and be like, "We've got me." I'm, you know, gonna lean on Izzy's kneecap.
Yeah, Izzy smiles at that, just absolutely like a genuine.
Okay. Nearly 2,000 of my brothers are worth nothing at the face of that magic. And you are the hopes we've been looking for.
You were sent out here to find his people, if I recall correctly.
You can see his fist, like his knuckles are white as his fist begin to tighten. Yes. And if we weren't, they would be alive. Wouldn't they? You know what we found?
I don't.
People like him have been working with those that have made all of this happen.
We found that too. And I would say that while they are the same race, they are not my people. My people wouldn't have done this.
His people have also been betrayed.
I'm sure. That's convenient.
Do I know Steen's rank,
I think I'm now a commander.
Commander? Okay, I was gonna say, but I wasn't certain.
Yep.
So I will I'll do a little bit of name dropping there, and I'll tell him that
I'm not
we
that
are with
big.
we're with Commander Scene of the Phalanx, and it would be helpful for both of us if we could do a debrief with your squad, and with more information, we may be able to ascertain a way to help, a way through this.
I don't know who to trust anymore. I don't know if it's our people. I don't know if our people are working with them. I don't know if you people are working with them. I don't know if his people are working with him.
If it
But
makes
you're
you feel any
right.
better, we did kill a handful of devils on our way through here.
I'm gonna shadow box a little bit at the mention of that.
We are absolutely not on the side of anyone who is working with those abominations.
We've got undead. We've got fiends. Like, this place wasn't a hellhole enough. You're right, though. There is something happening. Not far away. We sent a handful of scouts to investigate. One came back. Barely. It looks like all-out war is happening not far from here.
War? Who?
I didn't believe him when he said it. I'm not sure he knows what he saw. He seems to think that there are fiends fighting fiends. Just over there. Maybe a couple of miles to the southeast.
We heard war horns. We were going to head that way as well.
But here's the kicker. He says the God's damned undead were watching like it was a spectator sport.
What?
Yep. Led by some spooky guy in black. You know the type.
I might know exactly the type. Can I? Was Adelmar? Did he wear black?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I might know exactly the type. Where's the rest of your squadron?
They're about 2 passages over. There's a little inlet there, a little alcove. They're trying to hunker down for a bit.
All right. Would you prefer to come back with us, or shall we meet you there?
You get your people. We leave in an hour. If there's a side to be tipped, we'll see it done.
All right. We'll see you there then. I give him a nod and head back towards our group.
Alright, so you make your way back fairly quickly. You start by trying to retrace exactly, but it seems like that's a bit windy. There is a more direct route. You just kind of make your way there in just a couple of minutes. Rejoin the rest.
Yeah, and I'll tell them everything that just happened. With a particular look at the old wizard, when I tell him about how he said that the wizards went through the portal and destroyed everything.
Okay, so I know we're playing the telephone game on information here, but you're saying that he saw, or someone said, that the wizards went through a portal and then this thing happened?
I nod.
And what wizards is he talking about?
I don't know, but I told him that we would meet them, or we would meet him and his squadron, and you can ask him more details if you like, but I would be very delicate. There are 87 heavily armed phalanx members who have a particular grudge against wizards at the moment. So
He just kind of waves his hand dismissively. All pish posh. Not worried about 87 phalanx members. They should be worried about whatever's happening.
they seem to be.
But you're sure this is what he said was these wizards, and he's got wizards in air quotes, went through a portal. Just a regular old gateway.
I don't know much about magic. Like I said, he may be able to give you more details. He was particularly agitated, so I didn't feel that I should press too hard right at that moment when he might run me through.
So you see him kind of like hemming and hawing a little bit too, and then he starts kind of talking to himself a little bit. But to them, that's not the who. No, that who was a different who. But how does that work then? That's not what's supposed to happen. It's specifically supposed to be that who.
Which who?
You see he's just kind of ignoring you, and you see him wave his hand dismissively again as he goes back to talking to himself.
Nalar?
The who? That's how the spell works. We spent all that time in there by ourselves, and that's how the spell's supposed to work. That was the whole point. Don't you get mad at me. You're the one that convinced us to do it.
Who's he talking to at the moment? Like, is he looking at anybody in particular when he's like arguing with himself?
No, he's literally like looking back and forth like he's both parts of this conversation.
Oh. I look over at Ileana like, has he been doing this the whole time?
She's just like on a shrug with like arms like way in the air. Just like, I got nothing. I got nothing. But what if that is right? What if the spell worked exactly like it said it would?
How did it say it would work?
He's never
For
been
those
wrong
who-
before. In fact, he can't be wrong.
Hello, Mr. Wizard fellow? I'm like waving at him.
He's absolutely not acknowledging you exist, even a little bit, as he's kind of like looking up and off to the side like he's deep in thought for just a moment. Maybe our lives weren't wasted.
I look over to Kara and kind of tap my head. I'm like, you got anything for an addled wizard?
I look at my sword real quick. I'm like, no.
Aha! I've got it! He begins casting a spell.
I step back.
More spells.
Finger waggers.
A brief moment goes by as he's casting the spell, and then poof, he disappears.
Oh, for the love of...
Let's just move on.
Yeah. I guess he'll rejoin us if we're the who he needs to be at. I shrug and I'm just like exasperated.
Even Ileana is, she's normally cool as a cucumber, but she's just like mouth open. What?
I don't know. What I do know is we've got 87 Phalanx warriors over there that we should probably check in with.
Indeed.
Not a bad idea. Make sure, see how bad the situation really is.
Did you have any reply from your book, Steen?
Nope.
Nope. No, I'm looking at it like, no. Guess it's not working.
Well, maybe this is another area where the magic was dampened and that's why we couldn't get any messages through. Well, the Phalanx are over this way.
So you spend a few minutes leading them through the twisting paths. You can see as you kind of make a corner, you're trying to be non-alarming. There is 20 armed men standing guard very aggressively, entering an alcove.
Might as well let me go first. Kind of the only one wearing a symbol here.
Yep, I nod and just fall in behind Steen.
How this is a bad omen.
Walking like a juggernaut. Shields in two hands. Just like, dun, dun.
Commander.
What's your situation? We just got teleported here by a wizard saying this is where we needed to be. So, well, we're here.
How extremely convenient.
Telling us. Got
Wizards
teleported and instantly
pop
attacked by
away.
some demons.
The world ends, and wizards just pop you in.
This
Who were
is-
the wizards with you?
We had a squad of our own. We had some of the Magister's men. At this, you can see Ileana showed just a brief tensing, and her eyes narrow. Which Magister's men? Oh, some circle or something. Some top dogs in the machine that has been fucking this world for centuries.
Throw mandates into that.
Did you know their names? Nalar? Is that familiar?
I think that's one of them, yeah.
Did they say where they were going to?
No, I just had some mysterious business to take care of.
So you say you're readying for a fight?
I'm trying to drag a few of these troops around. The shocks hit a few of them a little harder than we'd hoped. Taking a bit to come out of their stupor. But they know their duty.
Losing everything can break a person. It's time for reflection later. We have work to do. You can point us the direction, or you can take us in and we can do this together.
So be it. Well, Commander, what targets do we hit?
I'd like to know more about the two groups that are fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
My initial thought is if that's going on, let's go right up the undead's ass.
Right through the middle. Damn right.
But I'd like to hear more, though.
Mhm.
And then there was more.
Well, I haven't seen it. Let me call Franz over. You can hear it from the word of what has to be the liar's mouth. He calls him over. Off to the side, you see this pretty shaken looking dude, not nearly as aggressive or even well put together as those that were guarding the entrance here as you come in. Looking down, cast, shoulder slump. Looks like he's barely alive. He's like a zombie walking around. Yes? What can I help you with?
Can I roll something to make sure he's not actually a zombie?
You've been bit.
He's on the verge. He's a thrall.
You can hit me with a religion check.
Oh,
Magical plant religion.
Yeah, it's probably a nature also. We can kind of hit this from two directions.
better.
He seems to be alive, but maybe in some high tier level of shock that is just barely responsive.
Soldier, name, rank.
I'm
Odrin's going to offer him a good berry.
I am Franz Vander, and am a scout with the 7th Battalion of the Infiltration Corps.
Tell us what you've seen, Scout.
Eats the good berry, and then you see kind of, I mean, he's still very shocked, we'll just say that. But maybe a little energy comes back to him. Well, I saw this tornado-looking cloud of smoke and a plague of insects lined up on a battlefield. Or lining up on a battlefield. With these winged fiends and these giant elephant looking things that stood on two legs but with no faces, and this black knight in jagged and spiked armor, and this, she looked like an angel but entirely in black. And on the other side, there were these things, like hulking mounds of fiendish flesh. There was this huge, I don't know what it was, but it was like it was sitting on a throne made of bugs. And there's these beasts with these multiple arms and horns. Like 4 or 5 arms. And it's like they were lining up to fight each other. They were certainly not friends. Our squad, we were just trying to get eyes. And we come over a ridge and there was these things that had like multiple legs. It was like human legs. But there was like multiple pairs of human legs all coming out of a single torso. And they were stuck full of swords and knives and axes and like piercing them all over. And they ran down some of our squad. And as I was running away, I saw several of them and these ghostly looking wraiths and some banshees and all kinds of other things that I normally see out here in the Badlands on patrol that we've killed, like zombies, and that's what it looked like. And they were all on a line on this ridge with a man in black, hooded, staring, watching the battle ensue. That was 2 hours ago. I saw that.
A DM question. And you may want to have me roll a check or something, but has the undead ever resurrected and made demons and devils from the dead? Made their corpses rise?
No, that's not typical. The undead are more of a material plane kind of construct. They're not known for the abyss or the hills.
That is slightly good news.
The man in black needs to be our target. That sounds like Edelmar to me.
Yeah, I agree. What I'm thinking, demons and devils fight. Let's hope they keep fighting for a long time. Maybe we should go after the undead.
I'm trying to remember. I think Overa told us that when we saw Edelmar again, that the battle mage would be there as well. Was that right?
She did say that they were both out here, and then if we saw them, that we would expect to see both of them. Not a. She did talk about the things of the future being fragmented and being difficult for her to see the many paths of the future, especially right now. So she said she'd
Right.
expect it, but that doesn't necessarily mean
But it's
that
not-
yeah.
Not written in stone.
I just kind of gently put reach my hand out and put it on Fran's arm. Like, Franz, you did very well. Who's leading this group? Who's in charge now? I guess
Yep. They start kind of looking around. There's no officers here. So you are?
Out of character. How did I know you were going to say that?
It's been each man to himself, just trying to get it together, go through the motions, do his train.
I clap my hand on Carr's shoulder like, these are your men now, Carr. Good job. I've got the garrison.
Suppose we need an inventory. What do we have? How far away are these, like, time-wise? Is the battlefield? So it was 2 hours ago.
It's not that far. They said a mile or two to the southeast.
Have you tended to your people? Is everyone ready to get back on their feet?
Physically, everyone's able.
Look to our group. Is there anything else we need? I don't think time is on our side.
We need to hurry.
I agree. I mean, that, and I mean, if we do take our time, maybe they'll just kill each other.
Yeah.
I'm less
If what
concerned
he's
about
saying
the
is true.
fiends. More concerned about hitting the undead and the wizard.
What's the name of the guy who's not Franz, but the other guy who's been talking to us?
I never gave it.
Oh, well, I looked him. What is your name, soldier?
I'll talk about it.
It'll be like fucking 10 names long. He's got
Sir.
6 first names.
Iggy diddly diddly P Diddy.
Inhale and more.
Shagarian. Assemble the troops. When it comes down to it, the training will kick in. Let's do our duty.
So salutes and is like, I sir, okay.
Okay. Then we got the nervous guy in front of us still, right?
Yeah, it's kind of been.
I'm gonna put my hand on his shoulder and be like, "Hey, you need to get your shit together, not just for yourself, but for everybody else. We gotta pull together to survive." The only thing we can control is how we do our things that we're supposed to do, and then do it the right way and well.
Yes, Commander, you're right.
I just like slug him on the shoulder, tell him to get to work.
So everyone starts, very efficiently packing everything up. It's only a couple of minutes once orders given that the troops are ready to march. And start heading southeast then?
Yeah, I figured you'd
Mhm.
throw us a map or something.
Not yet. So you make your way through the last bit of this little canyon. You start making your way up to the top. Lumo, you hear a voice in your head.
Oh, Byra, what's up?
Lost child, you have returned to us.
Come again? Lost?
Your stint with the outsiders. Perhaps it was fruitful?
I'm gonna look around.
You see on the incline, it's a pretty steep incline coming out the other side of these. Most all the pathways kind of converge into this kind of single area. But there are a couple of T-junctions off of each side further on up the cliff. But you see nothing other than your troops.
Did it feel like the sort of talking that my people normally do, or did it feel different?
It does. Yeah, so like when Palor talks to you, it's been way different, right? When you've gotten some messages through magical means, it comes
Yeah,
through
Bijou's
differently.
done the message thing or something.
Yeah. This seems more like the communication, like this soothing return to something familiar. you still hold dear the things that we taught you? Are you safe or tainted to us?
I'm going to reach into my bag and pull out my coin and still say I would never let go of those values.
As you start walking up, as the rest of your procession is still kind of moving upward along the edge, they see you kind of hold up a coin in the middle of the air for seemingly no reason. And then just a moment goes by, and you see a handful of pairs of eyes peek over the edge of the canyon on both sides of several of your people looking down at you.
And these are people I recognize immediately.
Immediately, yes. These are some of your immediate clansmen.
Well, holy shit.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm gonna like sprint like super like super sprint.
As soon as you start to take off running a super sprint, you can see them kind of pull back a little bit, like turn, like they need to turn and sprint, like they're looking to bolt in every direction out of here. Are you safe? Are you tainted? Are they safe?
No, that's fine. They've been helping me. They've been helping us.
Do we see what Lumo's running towards?
Like you see him just like immediately like bolt off, like super sprinting, maybe even some like running along the side of the wall a little. Like it's a spectacle in general. But out of anywhere, everyone's
He's
like
Roadrunner running through the canyon.
what? Yes, exactly. And you're like, what the hell? And you look up, and none of the scouts, no one perceived. You can just see these a whole bunch of figures leaning over the edge, blending nearly into their surroundings, looking down at the procession.
I got a big friggin' smile on my face going, "Wee!" Like big wee face, like kid found a cotton candy store or something like that. I imagine kids would be happy about that.
So like you super sprint all the way out the last little bit, and you can kind of see as you come up across the edge. You see a handful of your specific clansmen, and then behind them, those were the ones. I mean, and it's only a handful, and they're gonna, out of your immediate clan, there's like 12, maybe 12 or so people that are from your clan, and they're gonna unfortunately tell you that we're all that's left. But other clans have come. And looking past them, you can see that several clans have come together and are not armored in the sense like the phalanx are armored, but they're all armed in a way that as though they're ready for some kind of fight.
Okay, well this is totally unexpected. First thing I'm going to be like is like to my immediate clansmen, I'm going to do the telepathic thing and just say to each of one of them, my friend, my family.
After you tell each one in turn where they stand, they stop and they kneel with their head bowed. The sun has spoke to us, and we are gathered. We look to you, brother.
Do we see them kneeling? Or is this like too high up?
It depends on how far, because so he's gonna run out to kind of like the top of the ramp, so to speak, and see them all up on the top area. So this is all gonna be happening real fast. So when he starts sprinting off, what does everyone else do? Like, what's the procession doing? Are they gonna try to like? I mean, you're not gonna be able to probably catch him, but are you gonna
No.
immediately start sprinting after him, or just
Well,
like what the hell's he doing?
My immediate reaction was like to get ready to like for an ambush, so I took the dodge action just now.
Okay, yeah, then
Uh,
then no. I think by this point, people will not have made it up to the top of the ramp to catch, as they all in turn, as he speaks to each of his clansmen. They will all kneel with head
Okay.
bowed.
Once I'm sure that there's no immediate danger, I am gonna follow up after him. But you say when I or we get there.
Okay.
So
I would be, I guess, a bit behind her. I would maybe tell Steen to take the troops ahead. We'll catch up.
Yep. And so after the last of your immediate clansmen bows to a knee, all the other clans kneel. We are with you, brother. We look to you for guidance. The Lord of the Sun has informed us. We thank you for what you have done. Without you, not even us few would remain. But now that we do, we're here to take back what is ours.
So I'm going to actually go into voice mode and say, my friends, my family, we will restore this land, but it can't be done alone. We will need the help of the other people, from humans to elves to gnomes. We'll need all their help to restore this land.
But it is not our way. That is a way of danger. Are you sure, brother?
Our way is still has a place in this time. But now we must be beacons for the rest of the world, so that they can emulate our example.
When you were brought to us all those years ago, we could not believe the story of where you came from. But we took you in. We knew the warning, but we also knew the benefit. It seems as though what was told is coming true. And you will be the beacon of change through the worst to glory. And right about this time, everybody makes it to the top. And then you can just see that there are a couple of hundred of Lumos people all stretched across the top of these, rocky mesas on the flat part, all up here above the top of the canyon.
Put away my weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I wave.
Are they still kneeling?
They are.
Izzy's just gonna hang back then and watch.
Yeah. Car does the same.
I'm gonna kind of bring my arms outstretched in front of me, palms up, and then lift my arms up as gesture to all stand.
They do. What must be done?
I'm going to point towards the direction of the red glow in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And say, there's a battle going on right now. 3 sides, 3 evil sides. This is a battle that none of them can win if we are to restore this land. We are, we were just almost 100 strong, but with your help, we will shift the war in our favor for the first time in a millennium.
They kind of hold their arms out in a weird way, and then kind of clasp them in a strange salute that you are familiar with, but everybody else thinks is kind of weird.
Like a wank off motion.
Yeah.
Oh shit. I'm gonna turn to everyone, or to turn towards my group, and be like, so, these are my people.
Hello.
Hi.
Just kind of nod.
It must
Lumo,
be
are
of
you,
strong ilk to have survived this long in such a place.
Lumo, are you like their king or something?
No, no. No, no, no hierarchy, no monarchy here.
Why were they kneeling then?
When you've been downtrodden for so long, when you've been pushed to the brink of extinction, all you have to do is to look up for one piece of hope. That's what they were looking at.
Do they all shoot light out of their hands like you do?
No, no.
No. Probably a couple do. I'm sure you had to learn somewhere.
We're still people of this world, Izzy. There's still carpenters and soldiers and weavers amongst us. But there's still people with special talents among us as well that can wield the light like I do.
I told you I'd help you find your people. I don't know how to help you keep them safe. But if any of them know how to wield a blade like this, and I'll hold out the short sword of life stealing, I would give it to them.
Let's see. There would be none that would come forward to try to claim such a blade.
Well,
Even the offering of
kinda-
it, they kind of, not that they look offended exactly, but maybe put off.
I'm not holding it out to them directly. I'm kind of offering it to Lumo if he wants to like distribute it or something. But yeah.
That's actually kind of my thought of the sort of what I thought they might do if it was a short sort of life stealing. It feels like stealing life feels a little bit nefarious.
Even, I think even a mundane weapon, they might be, the ones that are armed, most of which most of them are, actually, like they earned the weapons that they got.
Yeah.
In some respect. So, like, someone giving them a weapon means that they're not strong enough to earn their own, in a way. Like, what would that be?
I gotcha.
How they would probably perceive it, I think. So they might think of it as not exactly a slap in the face, but at least a degradation of their own individual honor.
So Izzy's like the person in a foreign country who's unintentionally made a really bad faux pas.
Yep.
So she looks a little bit embarrassed, is like, sorry, puts it away. I meant no offense.
The ways of the outside world are a lot different than where you are now, Izzy. He's gonna point, like, just randomly point at different halflings and say, they all earned their weapon through hard work. They take only what's earned.
Where now, Lumo?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Where now, Lumo?
DM, what sort of talents do these people have? Like, besides just the like, is there any spellcasters or are they all just like different types of fighters type stuff?
Mostly different types of like of the phalanx. There are no casters left. They're all gone. The most of the phalanx were scouts. The ones that actually survived because they were actually out and away from the rest. There were a few more hardy actual soldiers with them in certain places, like little outposts, certain caves, passageways, etc., that were like mini squads or garrisoned in a certain place. But most of the phalanx people are scouts. Your people, there's a little diversity there because it's. I mean, it looks like they brought everyone capable of fighting to fight. So you're gonna have people of varying skill and background. Don't know. I was trying to think. I don't know much in the way of like what magic casters that your people actually have. I was thinking it was more shamanistic in nature.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, so they might. So that there's probably a handful of that, but by and large, it's there's a lot of well-disciplined people because fighting is a matter of survival, and your people are good at that. And so even those that are weavers and could still hold their own pretty well above the regular. You know, you're better so than your mundane regular population person out in the rest of the world or whatever. For sure.
Good with the sword because they had to be, not because they chose to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In that case, I would want to group up people based on either like range, like any slingers or bow, crossbow type of people together. Any melee people together, and the interspersed spellcasters. I'd say I'd keep them sort of kind of keep them in support of each of those groups. So like 1 or 2 per group, and then point towards the sky of red and say we're going to move in that direction.
Okay. Right around now, you hear another blast of a war horn. What was northeast is now north. This one sounds different.
I'm going to ask my people, what else is around here? What can you tell me of this area?
We've been keeping an eye on these after they just kind of shudder a little. After the events happened.
I can feel like some telepathic minds just kind of shudder in my mind.
Mm-hmm. And there's another 2 groups of people like these people, and they're gonna motion over like to the rest of your group. Not like them, but like them. Point over to the rest of your actual party.
Are they speaking in common or halfling?
You, since you guys
Or
were
just in
talking
their head?
you guys were talking in common, so they're actually using their voice. They're talking in common.
Okay.
There were she's gonna point. They're gonna point over to Bijou. Some like her.
Like me?
The loudest group of things moving in this land I have ever encountered.
Car tries to hold back a smile.
Bijou's grinning ear to ear. Where? Where is more like me?
He's gonna turn and point to the north.
What would your people be doing out here, Bijou?
I don't know, but let's go find them!
What else was up north?
Yeah, you said 2 groups. What about the other one?
The others come through the mountains.
Izzy's gonna look at Car and just say, Mayora?
Possibly, yes.
They're gonna look like, what? What is a Mayora?
It's a country to the north.
Country.
A group of people with a government that has a territory there.
Group of people like you, but they've put names on all of the land.
Put names on the land.
Ownership.
But they can't own the land. The land was there before them. Can't own something that was there before them.
They make their home there, and they are,
A clan.
yeah.
Okay.
Are they moving south? Are they moving towards us?
They're moving, well, not towards us. And then she, like, points almost directly to the east.
Okay. If these are the people we think they are, we need to rally them quick to help the phalanx.
I can try to signal them. Because I've been dying to blow this goddamn horn for a week.
Would you know, because you spent time in Taft, would you know some of their signals and stuff?
Yeah, do they use war horns and such?
Well, they're not known for war anything.
Yeah, we don't
They're
know
the
what war is.
Switzerland of the world.
I'm just picturing the dicks going ding ding, ding 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 ding.
But they do have some signal communication that could be by horn. Yes.
We're thinking like a war procession, and I'm thinking like a Louisiana funeral.
Yes. Yes. Jazz band. Bingo. So basically, the movie Aladdin, when Aladdin gets introduced to the city the first time with the genie parade, that's probably the closest thing that we could get to of a movement of Taft and his armies in anywhere.
Hey, if they bring a genie, then we're in good shape, actually.
Depends on the genie, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, what do you know about your dad, Stain? Or your mom? Whichever.
My mom's dead, and my dad is somewhere.
Stuck in a lamp.
Was on a different plane of
He's-
existence.
He's lighted the way to somebody. I mean, he's on the Earth plane
Okay.
somewhere, doing something.
Do you want to take everyone, or you want some of us to scout ahead? You know, some of us scout ahead that I can do the horn. I'd almost hate to do the horn now because it does sort of give away some positioning. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
We could move away from our two armies, our two groups, whatever.
How far for each of those groups? And I'm gonna try and point out some of the monks like me. How far would it, or how long would it take for one of us to reach there?
You see them kind of toss their head back and forth, thinking. If they kept moving slow and loud, like they were before. 4, 5 hours.
I mean, the Phalanx did offer to help Luma protect his people, so we could leave the men with them and scout. That way, we keep our promise to Lumo.
Again with the horn, maybe we could get them to change direction this way. Cut that
Wait.
time in half.
Wait,
But
are there any
remember-
flying animals?
But remember, when you signal your friend, your allies, you also signal to your enemies.
Yeah, I know. But right now, the undead seem to be watching the other two fight. Yeah. They've
It's like
already
rated
heard.
off.
Some of them must have already heard the other two times the horn has blown. It may not be on their radar at the moment.
Yeah, watching the Gladiator Battle Royale, they don't really care.
I think it might be worth the risk to get our numbers where they need to be. And I've been dying to blow this goddamn horn for a week.
Yes, circus.
So,
What kind of flying animals are you looking for, Lulu?
Bird?
Bird?
Just are riding giant boars.
Something large enough to carry a small note?
Are there any flying animals here, or did they? Are you asking them if they saw them with the group of?
No, right here. If there's any within my sight.
No, there was not.
This is a land of desolation.
Yeah, there's no. Birds are a thing that don't actually live naturally in the Badlands.
Not enough food for them to survive.
It's not in these times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks,
bird-
Paylor.
The bird said fuck it and ran away as soon as she hit the fan. Birds are smart. Thanks, Paylor. See? Your thing.
Not enough living things for even things like buzzards that would normally live in a desert or whatever to survive on their scavenging.
Thinking about it, I wonder if the barrier would allow wildlife into the Badlands.
Okay, we're drifting a little bit, and Josh is a noble father, and he has noble father days things to do. I think I will want to find a kind of high point, and I want to send a shout out to the Warhorn. We're not far away from the battlefield though, right now, are we?
A couple of miles. We've gone. I mean, they said from between 1 and 2 miles, and we've only come out of the canyon, so y'all haven't actually traversed very far.
I mean,
Yeah.
we need to try to, if we can, through Horn Blast, bring those two groups coming towards us.
My concern is if that they're 4 or 5 hours away, that they may not hear the horn and only the things fighting near us.
I mean, we're probably only, what, 45 minutes from the last time we heard the horns? 3-minute fight, a bit of a jaunt.
Yeah, the canyon's a decent bit away. Getting through the other side of the canyon. So, I mean, I'd say that we're probably pushing towards the end of the day, actually, for today. So, I mean, I'd imagine you're a couple of hours to get to the to get to the phalanx, and they say it's only a mile or two to the southeast from where you are.
Well, no, till we do it, if we do it. But it's the end of the day, if it's almost night, this is our only shot to get a hold of them, because we're not going to be able to send scouts out at dark in this type of situation. I do not
That's
believe.
true.
It would be 4 hours bound, 4 hours back. Time is not on our side.
Well, let's say if we blow the horn and we start heading towards the last place we heard the horn, that way we are moving hopefully towards each other.
But also
It's the
away
time.
from the impending battle.
Yes.
Or the one that may have already started. We don't know.
We don't know things.
As the eagle flies, I would be able to reach one of these parties. Though I do not know if I could convince them to do what you would want them to.
Well, you know the gnomes, right, Lodrin?
He knows some of them.
I used to.
What if you used your horn and played like our like motto or song? They'll come to that. You know, like our party song.
How does the party song go?
Love will find a way by Tesla.
I mean, these horns, I don't think, do a lot of different notes, unless your party song is more rhythmic.
I think we can make it work.
Okay, I will
Is it
climb
again?
to a higher point. And, yeah, I was trying to get her to hum it aloud because I thought that could be a good point where we all laugh, but maybe not her, so I understand. You don't want me saying things, I'm not judging. I just kind of go up to a higher point then. I do my best to blow the horn in some fashion that reminds me of her people and their war songs, or their songs. I got a Jerry do in my closet, man. I would have whipped that out if I thought I could do some performance in here.
I was saying the war horn, yes, not known for its
No,
ability
it's just
to
more
go
of
up
a-
and down on notes. You can kind of go low and high.
Yeah, you can pretty much do an octave jump.
That's about it, right? But okay. Here's a thing we have not done before. Roll a perform check.
Where the fuck is that even at? Jesus, plus 0. Oh, sorry. I clicked something wrong here.
And then... Okay, so the DC is adjusted based on your use of and knowledge of both using the Warhorn and also of Taft's people. So I'm adjusting the DC based on that. And then also, I mean, you're no flutist on the Warhorn.
If it doesn't sound good enough to me, I'm gonna like take it from his hands and play it myself.
Yeah, I'm with a fucking bard. What the fuck am I even doing? I blow it, and then I'm like, wait, and I just hand it to her, the Kragan Warhorn.
Very well. Bijou, I need a perform check.
So help me, she's gonna make that thing sound like Wham.
20.
If
I will
there
say as
were
a-
a Jimi Hendrix of the Warhorn.
I will say the Kragan Warhorns are sort of tuned to the different Kragan locations, so they all have a somewhat unique kind of pitch to them. And this is a Kragan Highland Warhorn, so you do that with as you may.
As she plays a little ditty, oddly enough, it seems as though not only is she able to actually give certain tonality to it, but also just through her own bardic magic, it reverberates very loudly, much more so than you could get out of it through mundane means. And for those that are in the area, the sound feels warm and inviting. I was thinking the epic sex guy, actually. I was thinking that. 10 hours on loop. The horn in the distance. A couple of minutes go by before you hear the horn from the north trumpet in answer.
They're on their way, guys.
She hands back the horn. I kind of look at it and shake it a little bit. Never done that before.
I can't believe that worked.
All week, man. Won't use that goddamn horn.
Okay, so do we sit here and wait?
It's getting late in the day, right?
Yes.
We should find the best secure position we could between the phalanx and the most people. Post guard.
I mean, if we have an hour or two of travel, we can kind of try to skirt around the battle and go towards them. But once we're losing light,
I think
what
it'd be
Steen
better
says is wise.
Yeah,
find
we
a
may
good
not.
position.
We may not want to wait exactly here in case that calls other things down upon us.
Yes.
It's obvious that most people know how to keep a low profile in this area.
Yeah, they probably didn't like me playing a song on the war horn.
Yeah, they're like, oh God, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's probably ill-advised by them, but at this point, they're resigned to outside ways with smugness.
Maybe Lumos know a place where we'd be a little more secure, or if this is the most secure place they think there is.
So, I do want to just ask. I only heard one horn reply because earlier we did hear two.
The one to the southeast? Is it the second one you're referring to? Does not reply.
Yeah, I
that
guess
one does not reply.
Okay.
Yeah, we heard, but we went from our original teleport in spot. We heard one far to the southeast, one far to the northeast. And now the one that we hear is only to our north. The only one that's answering.
So I just want to say there still could be another group near us where they could have been wiped out.
That's entirely possible. Yep. We couldn't get any kind of tone out. Like when we heard them the first time, we had literally no idea as to the sound. We just could hear that it was so far away that we just barely heard that there was this actual calling of a horn. Not sure if they were one side or the other, or where the origin of those horns were, or any of that kind of stuff. Just that there was too far away from you. Thinking about it, if you could barely hear them where you are, chances are the distance to them was greater. They probably couldn't hear each other. So we sit,
Yeah,
make camp for the evening.
we use
Well-
what light we can to kind of move away from this position.
Okay.
And then we defensible position.
Yeah,
Find
we were
somewhere to camp.
saying that we were going to follow the lead of Lumos people to try and find a good spot to hunker down.
Mm-hmm.
There's places in the canyon.
And then get some scouts up on top of the canyon walls to keep lookout.
Even some people that they did not. Even some places that they did not find. And it points over to the phalanx. And they would lead you down that way. And there is some, there's some intricate pathways. And then there's some that you walk by and they look kind of like little offshoots off to the side that lead into a dead end. But when they lead you in and around, there's this almost an optical illusion, is like where one wall is behind another, and they're at slightly different angles so that they look like they overlap and make one wall, but in fact there is a crevasse that people can come through into an actual to something that's more actually like a cave. Instead of being open on the top, it is actually enclosed inside of an actual little natural cavern.
Izzy's pretty impressed. While we're walking over that way, I'm gonna try and have a little aside with Lumo. I'll kind of go, I'm sorry. I feel like I stuck my foot in my mouth earlier. Is it okay, just to be clear, is it just weapons and equipment that's rude to share, or can I share like water and food? Is that rude? Was it bad that I bought you fruit when we first met?
Water and food. Water and food belongs to everyone in the clan. That you claim ownership over an apple would be a little bit weird for the rest of my people. So, yeah, maybe just interact with them as little as possible.
Oh, she looks a little like hurt. Okay.
You'll earn their trust if we win, not before.
Right.
I want to, if you're ever done.
Yep.
I want to go to Tregarian and kind of all the people who are the most broken, let them try to get the most amount of rest. People who still have more of their wits about them, let's have them on guard. Yeah, not marching into battle just yet, so maybe let them recoup.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of set up a little bit of camp, then, and wait for these other groups to try to come in on us. Reasonable expectations is that especially where we are hidden, they wouldn't be able to find us. Exactly. I was also, they kind of know to the south, but that could be pretty off by a good bit, right? One way or the other.
I think I would maybe suggest that Talumo, if he has any of his people who are excellent night scouters, they know the land, maybe have a few scout out and wait for potential people coming in and let us know if there's a somewhat friendly group that seems to be heading our way.
I will ask them for their sneakiest of sneaks. 2 or 3 of them.
Perfect. Thank you.
They'll go try to keep an eye on them. So they said 4 to 5 hours, with the monks running after them. So you expect it's probably going to take a lot longer for them to actually get here. It'd be morning if they march through the night. Probably at a minimum. Without the monks sprinting. Said, especially since they said how slow they were moving to begin with. So, we could expect for them to arrive sometime by the morning. We're gonna set up, so otherwise we're setting up a bunch of watches, rotation, just kind of hunkering down for the night, or anything else we would like to do particularly.
Having been rebuked by the halflings, I'm gonna go and sit over with Ileana. I'm gonna give her back her quiver as well.
I also had that light version of the ring that I gave Izzy. Lightning Ring of Freedom Weaker. That came from Ileana, didn't it?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
I offer that back.
You had been curious where she got it from, too, right?
Yeah. I guess I could ask her about that.
Okay. So, well, first off, she's going to accept both of these things, these gifts in return. Then, as she takes it, she's going to, gently like stroke around an ear and give a warm smile. Maybe a little more of the Ileana you remember from the ship days, where she had the very flirty nature in general with everyone, and seeming more of herself than she was, especially towards the later end of things, when it got close to the impending fight with the Archduke, and things became more reserved. And then later, since you've seen her, she's been very unlike herself, just in the always at the ready. She was always at the ready before, but she always made it seem like it was always flippant and never caring, even though she was her eyes were always everywhere and always watching. But now, for the last little bit, she has been both body and eyes, and everything has all been in this very stern kind of approach. But kind of getting the chance to breathe. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, she's just been all business up until now. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get any reaction from her earlier when I was talking to her? Just whispering to her?
Oh, I was gonna say something, but I forgot this. Oh yeah, yeah. I think I read this, but I missed. I didn't get a chance to react to actually what she would have done.
Yeah, there was stuff going on. It was just kind of an aside. So
Um. When you talk about Nalar, she would have responded more just like a smirky smile. Um. Just trying to faint hope and happiness or contentment at least with that thought. And then when you give her back her ring, um, she would have pulled you into an embrace and whispered in your ear, thank you. She probably would have pinched your bottom before then walking away.
and then Kara gives her the other ring back, and she strokes his ear.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get that ring from?
Well, I wouldn't say that I kiss and tell, but if you twist my arm. I've had more than one dalliance in my life. Some with people, well, from similar stock to you, we'll say.
I had something similar made. A wizard close friend helped me. It was for family. Still is.
Izzy doesn't say anything, but she kind of looks down at it and twists it on her finger.
While the gnomes throw a party, and it's always happy times. The Kragans. That's the kind of party near to my heart.
Izzy kind of looks between the two of them, and she's kind of like, "Oh, well, I'm real tired, so I think I'm gonna go hit the hay. Good night." And just kind of leaves the two of them alone.
She is very subtle. I don't think now is probably the appropriate time for said dalliance. But if we
Indeed not.
survive this, I think there's gratitude to be shown.
I will say, out of character, I'm not sure if she's talking about Car or Izzy at this point.
I think in character you don't know either.
I tell her to get some rest. And I kind of go to check on, the party and try to make sure Bijou gets some sleep and just check on check on everyone that I can.
So everyone's kind of set up camp. Everyone's kind of battening down, waiting for the other groups to arrive, trying to get in that last minute of rest. Not quite nighttime yet. Still twilight. So a little bit of fingers of light stretching into the canyon. Most of the cave itself is pretty dark, but there's still a little bit of tendrils of light coming in through the entrance. And you hear maybe something if I push the buttons right. Okay, maybe I didn't push the buttons right.
'Cause I didn't hear anything.
I heard kind of like a wispy thing.
Try again. Kind of hear something if I turn the volume a little bit.
Okay, one
Is that-
second. Yeah.
Is that like a portal sound?
Yes.
Like a stealth portal? Because it's really quiet. Oh, there we go.
Goddamn Stargate portal.
Yeah.
Right? Sounds like a massive portal trying to be quiet. It's like, shh.
Dr. General Daction.
One portal shushing another as they're both being opened at the same time. So right in the entranceway to the little cavern, you hear the sound, and as you all turn your head to see, a portal opens, and a hooded figure in solid black robes steps through.
I'm
Head
still
down,
awake?
robes covering the face.
If I'm awake and seeing this, friggin'
Mhm.
weapons out, like ready
On
to
guard.
go. Yeah.
The whole place comes to life immediately in response. Here is where you all are, after all. It seems as though we started this trek on the wrong foot.
You mean when you wiped out an entire village?
Well, yes, but not an entire village, just most. But that's not what I'm here about, although I'm sure that your response is directly related. I think that even you might think to overlook necessary evils.
Like working with a vampire?
Don't
Good bloody
worry
luck.
so much about the past. It's what is now that is important. Something is happening beyond the scope of even what I intend. I just want to leave this place. I would like to see it return to at least some of what it was before. Before, well, you know.
You defile everything you touch. On what green earth should we believe you?
Well, I wouldn't believe me on a green earth, but one that is a desolate wasteland. I think at least that is something that you should believe.
For the rest of you, you guys would see Izzy. She's like coiled like a tense spring, like just ready to launch herself, barely contained.
So what required you to kill all these innocent people just to get out of here? What was the purpose?
Well, I think there are things that are happening on the outside. Atrocities in their own right. I have been afflicted by them, and I'm just taking the only avenue available to me to bring justice.
How close am I to him?
He's in a position so right in the entranceway. There's like a tiny little cone, if you will. The cone is maybe 15 feet, and then there's no one standing right inside of that little hallway that's shaped like a cone, and then everyone is inside of mostly a mostly open cave on the inside. So 15 plus, maybe another 20 to you where you are.
Mm,
So at least you have the sense to hear me out on a small level. You know the power I possess, but I'm not here to lord that power over you. In this, I think our paths align.
you're
I
gonna rid the badlands of all the undead and demons for us?
am not responsible for the devils. I am not responsible particularly for the archdevil, although you may think that to be true.
Can I insight check him?
You may.
Most definitely going to try myself. Oh yeah, with my insight skills.
His mannerisms are cold. He is cold. You know that he's evil. There's no question as far as him having good intent versus bad intent. But when it comes to what he's saying, you have reason. He seems to be telling the truth about the devils anyway.
If it wasn't you, then who summoned it? Who
Well,
allowed it onto this plane?
I have a feeling. I have no proof. It was not me. Now, there are. Devils are a source of power, and I have tapped into that power before. That's very true. There are cults of people, some of his, for instance, as he kind of gestures over to Lumo, some of them, not any of the good people here, of course, but some of them seem to be encapsulated by this potential power source. They, working with, maybe some of those that I used to call friends, but I think more astutely those that I may still call enemies from the outside, may be at fault.
Speak plainly, wizard.
You hold those Rodrin wizards to high acclaim. I hold them to nothing more than I have seen them. Remember, I was one of them after all. They think they have cleansed the bed, but I do not see it. They cleansed what they did not understand. And since then, I think they work in ways that goes against very life. Not just mine, which I'm personally affronted by.
That's rich coming from you.
I kill a handful to do what is necessary. They
killed
seek to
hundreds.
kill all. There's a difference, trivial, across the span of time, the handful that must have died, sure, hundreds, thousands, whatever. Minor. In the blink of history that we are a part of, that is nothing but a drop in the bucket. Not even comparing to the end of all things, all existence. Trifling matter. I won't pretend and say I did it for the good of all. We all know that's not true. But I did it for the good of me. And the good of me may actually be for the good of all.
So I'm going to roll a history
Okay.
and try to recall any of my memories of feeling like what the mages core may have been doing was shady. Like instances where leave the people to die, or like situations seemed oddly not, or oddly convenient within history.
Within the
Because I know
phalanx specifically?
Phalanx, well, not within the phalanx, because the phalanx infantry corps and the mages corps are two different.
Right. But I mean, you mean the mage
Sections.
corps within the phalanx specifically is what you're
Yeah,
looking at.
yeah,
The
like
phalanx
mages
history
emerge.
on mages.
Yeah.
So the
Because
actual
I was trained in magic by the mages, but
the Grand Commander Gregan is the leader of the infantry corps, and he's actually quite an altruistic kind of person. And the infantry corps has been is kind of an organization that feels a lot like the Peace Corps. They are there for actual protection. They are there to do good. They're not all good. They're definitely all lawful, but most of them also tend to be good. The Mage Corps dips on all sides. Definitely different. Has there been some decisions that definitely didn't seem like for protection or for the good of set people, or sacrifice few for the help of many, or things that would not be considered good or even or lawful, like would definitely fall against one of those two tenets?
Mhm.
Yes, there are examples of that. There are they are definitely throughout still been on, not necessarily aggressively power hungry and that kind of thing. All very subtle, but still an attempt to gain power, to supplant those that are against, etc. Not as far on the up and up as the infantry corps for sure. Now, no one on the outside, or even anyone on the inside, would say that they're bad. I don't think that would be a way that anyone would really describe them. But are the morals a little more loose? Yes.
Mhm.
Even if I believed you, which I don't. Why are you approaching us here?
Well, I didn't know where you were until a short while ago. Some kind of magical allure brought me here. I was hoping that perhaps I would run into you again. We watch a battle not for this plane, but for all the planes. A war that is spilled out of a place that it has been contained since time began. Someone has worked to let that war spill into all the planes. Not
For what?
just this one.
For what purpose?
You ask a question I don't know the answer to. Is the purpose for good? That seems pretty obvious. The only purpose that I can see across all of these planes is that they wish for one side to win once and for all sides to lose. Someone may even be stupid enough to think that this final fight, spilling into all the places, would actually eventually wipe it out and end it. I doubt anyone is that stupid. You can't kill them out here, they just go home. You can only kill them in their home. So why else fight outside of the realms? To gain advantage of position? To cause an imbalance? Something that would, I don't know, end everything?
So what you're saying is some in the mages faction of the phalanx or Roderick may be plotting the destruction of everything to finish the job.
Well, that might not be
And
their
are
plot.
Trying to use the demons to a means to an end.
Their plot may be more altruistic in nature, but the results are the same.
And then you don't want to get things to end here because that would end things for you, because it'd be hard for you to escape to where you want to go. So now you're telling us things to help us combat the negative faction of the mages, to help further your goals and help ours at the same time.
My armies have garnered quite a bit of strength here, and nearly on my own was able to break out of this hellish prison. But now it seems break out of one prison and thrown into the hills or the abyss instead. As strong as they are,
And then I put a hand on Izzy's shoulder. I'm like, you have yet to give us a reason not to attempt to end you here and subdue your army.
You feel under your hand she's just completely tense.
She's like, yeah. Let me stab him. Let me get him, boss. Let me get him with the clamps.
you don't think I would come here without my own self-defense? You
Oh,
don't
no.
have the power to kill me. You may think you do, but you don't. I
You
did not
wouldn't be
come
here if you thought we were powerless.
No, not powerless. But you, and your people, and you, as he turns just slightly to stare at Lumo, and your ally, that you happen to have garnered the help of and foiling certain plans of other people. Well, maybe we can push this war back to where it goes. But I and my cannot do it ourselves.
So are you proposing a temporary truce to destroy another evil?
I see him smile and cross his arms. Why, I think the thick-headed wit has it.
I am not
So
standing
we
side
get rid
by
of the
side with that.
demons, and then we just continue on trying to get rid of each other.
No,
That's
you can
not
continue
really
to try,
our decision to make.
but I think you know the predicament that has happened to the lodestone. That was also not my doing. Magic that I could not place in such an area, not at this time. But now that it
What
has
do you-
happened, I could traipse on out of here and be gone and leave you to this mess. But you alone can't defeat them. And if they spill out and the war comes here, I won't get to enjoy my freedom. And I would much rather work with you than be imprisoned again.
I was wondering about this is sort of an aside, if you don't mind. He mentioned a prison and then into another prison. Is he, or did we ever get the sense that he was kind of a lich in that regard? Like kind of bound to his phylactery?
There is a strong inclination that that is yes.
Okay.
We know that we have seen him outside of the walls before, so that's something that we can't. I mean, he's not supposed to be able to leave. He still says right now that he couldn't actually leave, but there could be explanations through magic that we don't know about. I mean, you could ask him if you'd like to know more about how he got out when how was he ever imprisoned if he's actually been. We saw him outside of the walls, so to speak. Yeah, talking about his prison inside of the Badlands, but there could be some. We fought a weakened lich already, so we already have some inclination that there's something like that very likely going on. He's way too young looking for as old as he is, especially for being human. He's way past the maximum lifespan for a human. He was imprisoned over 100 years ago, and he wasn't a spring chicken then. So. What do you want to know? What can I do to persuade you? It's not acts of goodwill. I'm neither capable, nor would you believe them. What do you want me to say? That I won't stab you in the back?
No, pretty sure that might just happen.
Perhaps. I could just do that now.
Just stab me in the front. Go ahead.
Carl's like got his like arms open, like bring it.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
If I were to do that, then I doubt your friends would trust me to go forward, and definitely wouldn't side me in our mutual benefit. So, I think I'll refrain for now.
What do you know of the char marks to the northwest? Was that your doing?
I don't
No.
think so. I think that was demons.
That was not me. And it wasn't demons entirely either. Or devils. Or Yugoloth. Or things of the abyss. Or the hells in general. Although there was a draw of power from there. That was done by arcane magic. Arcane magic of this realm.
Whose?
Going
Seems
through my head on my fingers, like mages.
that is a mixing of battle magics that I have not seen and I have no mastery over. But I have a feeling I know who does.
And that was the question that was asked. So, do you going to answer a question or not?
I
Was it
think he
Corm?
answered it by saying he's not sure.
Well, not sure, but If there's anyone that studied devastation on high levels, it would be him. I just like little things to come back to entertain me. I like to draw power from those things. I don't like to just destroy matter. That's, well, that's abrupt and inelegant.
So what are you proposing to end this battle?
We take the battle to the things that don't belong on this plane.
And just destroy all of them?
Send them back home. There are demon lords and archdevils on this plane. Do you know what kind of power it takes to get them here? If we send them back, they won't be able to return freely.
Is that archdevil still there?
Still,
Roll an Arcana for that.
where?
And
At the battle site.
a religion.
Yes. He still is at the battle site, last we were watching.
My study on summoning is shortcoming.
As far as
Do I
you're
have an
concerned,
understanding?
I mean, you have a pretty, y'all have encountered a lot of stuff here. I mean, you don't have a lot of training in that area, but at the same time,
We know if it took a lot of fucking power.
yeah, this is a megalith kind of undertaking to happen, and it requires not just large amount of power, but also time and circumstance, and there's got to be a lot of alignment of a lot of these things all happening at once to even breach that possibility for something at the power level of an archdevil or a demon lord to bring them to the material plane. Unheard of.
So you're saying if this continues, you may cease to exist also with the rest of us.
Well, yes. And how unfortunate would that be?
I mean, one way we'd be getting rid of you, but we'd also be getting rid of ourselves and everything else.
Demons and devils fighting,
Besides,
undead trying to make
yes.
bargains. Maybe a total reboot is in all of our best interests. I'm just staring at him for his reaction.
Well, I wouldn't say it's in all of our interests.
Maybe
It's
just mine.
definitely not in mine.
Maybe just mine.
Out of
Is he-
chaos, it's more chaos.
Is he her head just turns and looks at Carr just absolutely incredulous.
I mean, I'm the third leg in this stool of war that you have created with your excellent imagery. I very much like to keep my powers and army and playthings. I might even be willing to proffer some of them up, but not all. Especially when all includes me. I want to keep me. I think deep down you want to keep you too.
I'm not so much worried about me, but about the people.
You. And you and you and you and you. And all of you. And every person you've loved. Gonna kind of turn. Kind of look at Ileana. Every person that you've loved. Maybe with the relative of a friend. He's gonna turn and look at it. He's gonna turn and look at Izzy.
He looks at Ileana, and I'm like, how would she not put an arrow in his head?
She is stoic. Like, I mean, she's bow drawn. She's been holding the bow drawn for this whole time, which, you know, it's a very powerful thing to do. I don't know if anybody's drawn a bow and held it for several minutes. Yep. That's not an easy thing to do, but she hasn't moved. Like, her muscles aren't wavering, twitching. She is rock solid. I'm gonna kind of turn and look around.
So, what you're looking for is a ceasefire, not an alliance?
Well, I mean...
Or more like...
You don't try to burn me, I don't try to burn you, and we all know that, well, fire doesn't do anything to the enemy that we face, so perhaps use another tool in which to take them down, but together. Sort of. Kind of.
Where is your battle mage friend? Is he with you?
Friend, ooh.
I think he
come now.
I think he only has possessions.
Friend.
She's just staring at him. Like daggers.
So if this were to happen, what guarantee do we have? Or what can you offer us as leverage of your word? Because we are good-willing people. At least here. Next to me.
What? And I'm not.
Well,
sneers.
If you count your word of saying, I'm going to kill a lot of people, you kept it. But not killing us could be another story.
I've never told a lie. Well, except for right then. But.
I've only told the truth 90% of the time, but I've never lied.
So what kind of deal do you wish to be struck here? What can I proffer? What word could I give? What thing is it that you want? Peace and happiness and blah blah blah. I don't think you even want peace and happiness. Not in your hearts.
I'm a soldier. I know none of those things truly exist completely. There's always strife.
Y'all are marred by vengeance. You can't tell me that you're deep down much different than I. I've just learned to wager power in a way different than you have. And I've done it much better than you have. Given time to fester, you could see the light of my way. At least through your own way.
Sorry, I just saw Car's message. Izzy does not laugh.
That's not a laughing matter.
No. She's just like seething hatred right now.
Yeah. I mean, really.
Oh no, he fell asleep.
Josh is gone. Did he say he was leaving right now? No, he's still.
I know he's got Father's Day stuff going on, so he may have had to
disappear.
I mean, had to jump. That's alright. We'll keep going for a few minutes. It's about done anyway.
well,
for today.
End of the world.
Yeah. I mean, feel free to come up with ideas, people. Sting's not the brightest tool in the shed.
Izzy's just looking around at everybody and says, Are we actually considering this? You got to be kidding me.
Well, I think out of character, Carr and Steen being soldiers, straight up, weigh things in that probably in a different thing, I guess, because Steen's like, well, if he can help us kill these guys, and by him helping us, somehow it makes us more able to kill him later, is a good thing, right? He's like, you know, because he's our enemy, we don't really have to, you know, it's once the battle's done with one enemy, the battle continues with the last, right? But we maintain stronger because of not dying together.
Yeah, we should probably have a couple out of character combos here. I think.
Okay.
Carr knows that demons, let alone a fucking army of demons, is really bad. That's not saying that Carr's got a spell prepped right now. If Izzy makes a move, he's got something. He's waiting.
Oh, I'm ready too. I got one too.
But like a demon's kind of bad. I've been researching lately. A fucking army of demons is goddamn horrific.
Mm-hmm. And Steen knows the phalanx is just struggling against the demons themselves, right?
The Carr wants to murder this guy right now too. So I mean, don't take me the wrong way.
Oh, Steen wants to misty step behind him and hit him in the back of the head with a shield. I mean, you better go. But
I know he's gonna pull some fucking doodly doo finger wagger shit on us because that's what they do. But
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Steen is considering a deal, just because it keeps the soldiers alive, it keeps the innocent people alive longer. A deal with a devil isn't necessarily an evil act if it's for the better good.
what does Lumo think?
No dice.
Lumos a god, right? He's like, hey man, but as Steen is a soldier, he is strategically inclined to win.
I say a deal with an actual devil, you could
Deal with
actually
an actual devil, you trust.
you could trust a deal with an actual devil. You would want to read the fine print real close,
Mm-hmm.
real close. But this
Immediately
guy
thought
is not lawful.
Trustworthy?
It's not lawful.
Yeah. But it's
Lumo
having
does
a hard
not
time
want him.
trying to come up.
Numa doesn't want him or his undead.
Oh, I don't want to fight with the undead, like as an.
Oh no,
ally.
I do. That's who I wanted to attack first. It seemed to
No,
be.
I want to. I mean, fight like with, as in together with the undead. Like Steen's against that, right? But if it can offer a reprieve for the phalanx to focus on the greater enemy, because the phalanx, as he sees it, does not have the resources to fight two fronts, let alone three, which they are currently fighting on three fronts: inside, at the walls, and against the demons all over the place. Like they are stretched.
No
Very
dice.
thin. If it's a no dice situation, I'm surprised no one's attacking me yet, because apparently everyone's contemplating.
And I am again out of character. I mean, I'm very because I kind of saying Lumo's going to be speaking for his people here, and he just got his people back. And I don't want to lose that by making a deal with the proverbial devil, but not the actual devils in this case.
The proverbial devil could probably wipe us out right here, right now, if he didn't think we were of some use.
No. Lumo's people will not ally with them. Neither will Lumo.
Yeah, Izzy's at kind of a complicated place right now.
I understand. And
Because
Wolfen.
goddamn it, Drad.
Wolfen, good job stepping up with Stein. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really good.
He's about to make a deal with the proverbial devil. So
Oh, we're probably gonna stop
you
you.
guys
so.
are literally just him watching him formulate a deal. Like,
Anyone else want to speak out of character before we go back into character? It's one of those moments I feel like we should just, let's stop and
Yeah.
take a breath.
mhm.
I know
Well,
it's a little
here's-
meta, but
Here's
That's
things
fine.
that you guys would know that Izzy would be feeling. She is friggin' terrified of that archdevil because she couldn't do anything to it. And you guys saw that kind of in the way that she was acting when we got back to the garrison. We know that we're not, or at least she knows that she's not strong enough to take on that thing. She also knows that if this guy is here trying to bargain instead of waltzing out with the broken lodestone, he is serious that there's a problem. And she would believe him that he's trying to save his own hide, because
Yeah, our demise
that makes
is
sense.
also his. Our fates are tied together.
But she also wants to stab this guy really bad because of everything that happened in Tenaria, everything that happened with her mom, like all of that undead stuff. She blames him.
Mm-hmm.
Lily and Josh.
Does Lodrin even know this guy?
Does he remember?
He does not.
Evil undead guy.
You do not know. I mean, they may have talked a little bit about may have been brought up to speed a little bit about what happened after you died. But you were dead while everything to do with him took place.
He's a super douche.
Lodrin was there when we were talking to Elvira. So
Yes.
she Lodrin would know kind of what Elvira had said about Edelmar. At least.
None of that was I'm also wishing for a man. Lubo's got quite the Rolodex going on right now.
And I think.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say also as a side note, something way back that I forgot to mention something about Lumo. Did you try to do that thing with her, right?
Mhm.
Nothing.
Okay, because I kind of would love to hear a message on that right now.
Something about whatever's going on here. Nothing seems to be getting out.
Mm-hmm. And Steen's already thinking that most likely the problems with the books is based on what this guy's saying is an internal thing. Like there's something going on within the phalanx that is causing the magic that's been working all this time to suddenly start feeling some interference of some sort.
It could be something that this guy's doing, or it could be from
If it's something, I think
the
if it's
demons and
something
devils.
he's doing, he would have done it already before.
Well, that was the other area that we weren't able to get communication through, was where Elvira was, and these guys are kind of on the same power level, right? More or less.
He's much more powerful than she is.
Well, there you go.
Okay, I will.
But it wasn't her that stopped the communication. It was the item that she carried.
Oh,
Remember, it was
right.
We identified that the staff of AO.
I will say this: we decided to trust Elvira. What was the difference?
There isn't any, really.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, she was part of a group that killed a lot of people. I mean, this guy is also part of a group that killed a lot of people.
This dude's probably a lich.
Elvira's probably super evil also. I mean,
Elvira was aiming for balance, whether that was through a reset or from preventing anything happening to tip the scales in the first place.
Yeah, Elvira was hedging her
Oh.
bets. She was kind of like either there's super bad on one side of the sword, or there's not so bad on the second side of the sword, and we're on the knife's edge, she said. So we made the decision to go with that, and she's like, okay. So, I mean, that outcome's great, but fuck the odds of it landing on the side of a sword landing on that side type thing. That's all. We kind of convinced her to bet on the edge of the sword.
Yeah, not heads or tails, but
Yeah.
landing on its edge.
Yeah, a coin's better. Yeah. Yeah, this is
So
much different.
she was betting on the fact that we would do anything to increase our odds of success.
Yeah, so yeah, because your inherent, especially of just in general as a recap, Elvira was not inherently evil. We did not get evil from her directly. She's done some bad things. There's no denying that, right? But she
Straight up true neutral. The best for whatever.
Well,
Best for
she
everybody.
had all the potentialities going on where kind of those various potential timelines or whatever, where maybe she was good, maybe she was evil, because it kept bouncing back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So decisions and thought processes what make you good or bad, right? And so she's kind of both and could have gone both depending on what she felt was the necessary direction to take. But Edelmar has made no attempt to say that he's restoring balance or trying to, do things that could be good or bad. He just doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to be destroyed, and he doesn't want to lose a lot of the power that he's garnered. Right? That's he can't do it himself. So you have a mutual goal, and he's willing to help you go down go down the same path to reach some mutual goal, and then go back to being a bastard, and probably still be a bastard the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luma's a big fat no on this one.
Well, you know what you got to do then. Don't let Steen try to make the deal, because Steen will attempt to do it for the better good. The truce with evil for the lives of many is a good deed.
I think Izzy will go along with the group consensus, but I see a lot more booze in her future.
Gonna be a drinker.
Uh-huh.
So Bijou's just about ready to step in between you making him a deal. So
Edelmar, I will offer you this. If there was ever a chance for me to cut you down, or a devil beside you, I may just aim for the devil first. But other than that, you should go now.
Or stay.
And when I say that, I want all the halflings to kind of just raise up in
Mm-hmm.
unison, kind of just like, ready their arms and all look to me for my signal type thing.
I take a step forward and I say, "Oh no, please stay." Especially as they're all getting up. Kill you now, we kill you later. Why wait?
I thought level heads would have prevailed this time. Very well. I guess I'll have to go through some other means to see the end that I wish to come forth. Okay. Well, killing the devil first, huh? I might can live with that for now. That might be all it takes to tip the scale. It would have been so much easier to work together. Then I could have at least considered letting you live.
Enemy of my enemy is simply my enemy's enemy. No more, no less.
I would kill you all now, if it didn't work counter to my plans. I'm sure you'll be a thorn later then. So be it. And begins casting a spell. As soon as he does, Ileana lets loose the bow, and it aims
Cast silence.
straight for his eye. The arrow flies straight through his head. Straight through. Almost as a...
He's pulling that Last Jedi shit.
a little wisp of smoke kind of effect as it goes through and clinks off of the wall behind him. It's almost, he starts to disappear, much like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. As the spell goes off, you see, like, because you're not supposed to have an effect as it has an area of an effect in general. That spell hits, and then, like, you feel it try to cover over the area, but it feels like there's like a dome there, and as it hits that dome, it kind of wavers and warbles and misshapes, and then fizzles. And just the face kind of comes back. I told you it wouldn't be so easy. If only you'd listen. And then it goes away. And we'll end there for today.
Ugh.
Dun. Well,
Oh my god.
What's so? Oh my god, we got a couple hundred halflings going on our side. It's gonna be great.
I hate him so much.
we just got a pint-sized amount of help. That's okay.
I would not judge Lumo by his size. I am very willing to take his people's help.
Dread, that was like the worst deal to try and put in front of Izzy.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
I posted the precursor
Dean was gonna take it.
the other day or whatever when I was telling Carr the clip from one of my favorite movies about sneakers. You won't know who to trust.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that too, because it totally got in my fucking head, you jerk.
yeah. I was telling Wolfen I have this straw that I've been like stress chewing on the entire last half hours.
Yep, Steen was. If no one piped up, he was gonna make the deal. Like, he
Now that-
is perfectly fine making the truce.
We did
I
take
mean-
the route that had no battles, Car. I told you it was a possibility, and I didn't disappoint.
I mean, Degris was kind of hoping that you would take the deal. Izzy, I had no idea how that would work for Izzy, because like she would not fight side by side with the undead.
Steen wasn't going to fight side by side with him either. Steen's plan was conserve our strength to fight one enemy so that we had strength to fight the next.
Yeah, but I'm still, if the
'Cause
the
now,
devils and
if we
demons were
use-
fighting, and it's still a big if at this point. I mean, I'm still just all
Mhm.
about going against the undead.
For Lumo, the means or the ends not justify the means there, Steen. I'm not gonna ally myself with that abomination.
Mm-hmm.
You still, Wolfie, you still made. I mean, you made good arguments and stuff. It was starting with that history check too. That was
Is it
awesome.
what's a necessary evil? Like, how evil? Like, even out of necessity, how evil can you be? Or like, how acceptable is certain levels of evil based on necessity? Right? I guess like so.
I mean,
a hungry person,
How,
starving family, stealing from another. That's a necessary evil, right? To feed your family. That's one that people can easily justify. Killing a murderer, in retrospect, killing the murderer is also evil, but there's some necessary component to it. To the point of destroying an entire village, so that you can escape. That's probably on the other side of the scale.
Well, that's-
Most people would say it's a necessary evil.
And he didn't make any secret about it, but hey, this is enlightened self-interest. He had a chance at any point to turn on us and not have any repercussions. He would have.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
100% expect that if we allied with him, that he would just turn his armies on us the second that the threat was dealt with.
Yep.
Which I would have been in the back of my head to do the same to him. So
Fair enough.
I guess I'm a little bit of a shithead too, but fuck that guy.
Yep. There's a lot of things I didn't know how it would go. I didn't know if you would stumble upon the thing that would awaken the wizard in one way versus another. So you found your way into his actual mansion, which was one route, which had a different outcome than going the other.
Was there actually a doorbell?
In a manner of speaking.
I had to blow my horn. Ultimately, that was the only thing I was after. Even though I had to pass it to Bijou, but
Mm-hmm. I mean, technically, Bijou's got her own megaphone. I mean,
The hand cone?
yeah.
Yeah, there are allies that are trying to find us. So whether we were going to call them or not was actually going to make a difference as to what would be available for the battle when you fought your big warfare battle, which is coming up.
yes, to say it, that ain't over.
Yeah, we're still leaning heavily into that one.
Now there might actually be a third enemy against you in this fight, so that was a major difference. So also staying rather than going. So if you'd have gone there, if you'd actually gone to the place where the undead were waiting, similar kind of conversations would be had, but the outcome of saying no would have been different. It would have been a battle with the undead right there versus not. So staying saved it or didn't. It depends on how how you look at it.
Well, I kind of figured. I mean, before we found Lumos people, which was awesome, but I kind of figured it's like we're going to fight our last fight. This is going to be really rough, just as it stands right now.
Yep.
And so I rolled to see if. So I knew Lumos people were one of those out there, and I rolled 2 rolls. One relative to. Because I also knew in the background that the Lord of the Sun, which we know who that is.
Lumo?
Yeah, I caught that too, and I was like, are they still Palor worshippers or what?
Yeah, I thought they hated Palor.
They do.
Very much so.
Very much
So
so.
I'm a little confused to the Lord of the Sun thing. Let's say, I don't know.
And so something happened. We don't know what that something is. But something happened, and they are now convinced that things are going according to plan for them, and that Lumo is the guidance that they need to bring their people to their former glory or salvation or something along those lines.
And Lumo running towards them as a kid at a cotton candy store was just endearing to me.
But so one of them was one of the roles was how they would take that, and so that was going to be how they, how did they take that versus what their attitude would be towards Lumo. Being with these outsiders, they could have very easily just shunned him, as that would have probably been something they would have done in the past. If someone had left to go mingle with outsiders, they probably would not be allowed back. Or welcome back for sure.
I was wondering how they'd react to him being a conduit of Palor, knowing that they hate Palor.
I'm not a conduit of Palor.
Yeah, I didn't
Palor
get
has
that.
done things through you and helped you, so that would make you.
We don't know that.
That's true.
Actually, I think Izzy does. I think we talked about it a little bit.
And the other was to see if they would come to you here or would be looking for you or not. And so both things kind of went in your favor, so that we got those. And then so Bijou has been writing notes that she's been sending back home several different times. And so I made some rolls for her to see if once the world news got out of shit going down, how they would respond.
Oh, neat. So it might be why her people are out there. It could be why her people are out there. It's her people. I mean, we just know they're gnomes. I mean, the Lumos people may not know the difference between different gnomes.
And then
The Mayorans?
the Mayorans are a direct reflection of work done at the garrison.
Ooh.
And there may be others, we just don't know. Not yet. For good or bad. There may still be others.
It's very exciting. I think the garrison thing's been pretty neat, just having different, factions and armies and things come together.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, we got a couple squads of phalanx. We've got that are mostly scouts. We've got some Lumos people. We might have some of Bijou's people. We might have some Mayorans. That we'll figure out. We once we get to meet. I've been kind of debating on how the next route goes, because I don't know that we'll start. We might look at the big battle, so to speak, and then figure out what new cool toys we have as far as units and how that all fits together, and then do some planning and what have you, and then not actually start the big battle, or maybe barely start it. So it might be 2 sessions to finish this arc.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
With that discussion with Edelmar, was it apparent to the other phalanx that they were wrong at mad at the wrong wizards?
Oh, apparent, I think, is too strong.
Yeah.
I don't know that they trust anything that he has said.
Okay.
Their instincts would lead them to believe that he's not actually lying, as far as, you know, judging by the ability to judge other people that lie. That's kind of leaving. They think that maybe he's visually trying to come off as telling the truth, but somehow they think that's a trick. I think that's probably going to be more the consensus across them, is that even though it looks like he's not lying, he's got to be.
Right.
That's sort of how Lumen looks at it too.
Also, even if he is telling the truth, at the same time, some of the if what he said is true, he pointed the finger to some of the wizards on the outside, which only then would reinforce their suspicion that they're involved.
Right. That's fair.
So they're kind of at a. I don't know if that helped or hurt our understanding of the situation.
I enjoyed our little semi-meta conversation about it too.
I'll turn this off.